What's going on, everybody? It's Childish. We're back at it again with an updated Rifter Worlds video. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Before we talk about the current teams that I'm running, I definitely want to give a shout out to my boy Shredded Puzzle, who's going to be featured this Friday at the ComTours USA stream at 2 p.m. server time. Hopefully, you guys can check into that. I want to give a shout out to ComTours. They put an announcement way early in advance this week, so it kind of gives some people, a heads up on what's going on, so they can plan accordingly, see if they can make it in. Definitely excited for that. As you guys know, Shredded Puzzle is just an amazing YouTuber when it comes to just educating the community and whatnot. So I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of hard questions ComTours kind of throws his way, in addition to what you guys throw at him, when you guys stop by on stream. In addition to that, let's not forget, this is the free rune removal week. It's going to be going down July 8th. So hopefully you guys can take advantage of that this Saturday, 24 hours to get it done, mix and matching those runes, doing what you got to do in order to improve your progression. So hopefully you guys can take advantage of that. I actually work this weekend, so I won't be able to do too much, but I have a free rune removal ticket, so I'm hoping to kind of fix what I need to outside of the day if I don't get a lot of time to do it. But as far as that goes, Rifter Worlds, right? The elemental dungeons, everyone's kind of going for them now. We got the light and dark units finally out. We've been talking about them for a little bit now. Everybody in the community, of course. I'm the slowest one here, procrastinated to make a video. I've just been super busy when it comes to my work and whatnot here. But I wanted to take a little bit of time to showcase my teams here because I was pretty shocked to find where basically my team kind of landed. You guys understand the value of violent sets and units with multiple hits here when it comes to the Rifter Worlds, the Dark Beasts here. And so, funny enough, I just basically used the majority of my units that have, those violent sets or the violent revenge sets or whatnot here. But to my surprise, there was a couple of key things that I noticed when analyzing my team and kind of breaking it down here. So we'll just take a look at the team real quick here. Running with the front line Zhao Lin, and then we got the Fire Panda up in there. I was pretty shocked to go this route. Ultimately, when I look at my composition here, the Water Kung Fu Girl, I definitely knew I was going to utilize it. I just love its kit overall. Being able to generate some additional turns by means of the third skill when it's on cooldown is pretty unique. But the one unit that really surprised me on the front line was definitely Zhongfei, the Fire Panda here. So, overlooking a composition like this, generally I was running like a 4-2 composition with like 4 DPS, 2 support, and those 2 support were generally like a Colleen Chasoon or calling, like now I'm using Huahi or whatnot. But I personally liked using 2 out of those 3 units, whether it was Huahi, Colleen, or Chasoon, because of the fact that they provided the attack buff, right? We definitely want to keep that consistent, because if you do utilize like a Colleen or like a Chasoon on the front line there, it has the potential to be taken from the Dark Beast, so that's basically going to be a 50% decrease in the amount of attack buffs that you're going to be getting throughout the fight. And as you guys know, the goal is to continuously do a ton of damage so you can get those high numbers and get more stones, more pieces, so that you can create these units and skill up these units. So to my surprise, playing around with this composition, the one thing I realized is that the Fire Panda, the multi-hits on the 1 and 3 skill, the counter effect, counter attack buff that you get on this one was pretty darn strong. In addition to that, analyzing my fights overall, in that last final wave, the damage that boss is going to be doing is super, super strong. And one of the things that I continuously run into is that, with regards to my team composition, no matter what I did, I just constantly got hit too hard, was losing too many key units, at the last part of the stage. And I'm just basically fighting the clock, where I was essentially trying to do the last little bit of damage to try to take the boss down before I killed my last unit, essentially. Theo was like the last one there. Now, with regards to, what I'm currently running right now, the Fire Panda was just kind of one of those unique things where, even though I lose out that value of the attack buff, the exchange that I get from the multi-hits when it's available, but also in addition to that, the fact of the mitigation aspect, the amount of damage that it mitigates from that boss due to the high amount of defense that you generally run on this unit in other aspects of the game, was pretty darn strong. I really was impressed by it. And I mean, obviously, As you guys know, that damage, just the multipliers of the boss, it definitely comes into play. And so if you're not using those high defense, units, or very just effective HP, units, heavily in the front line, it's gonna be hard. It's going to be hard to successfully clear it on a consistent basis. Water Kung Fu Girl, obviously it's built in that vampire format there. I use it for my front line in the Rift of Worlds, the regular Rift of Worlds here. So this one here, obviously, if it gets pulled, it gets pulled. There's really nothing I can do about it. I can consider putting it in the front line, but I like the opportunity to run it in the in the back line. But I like the opportunity to run it in the front line just to get a couple more additional turns, similar to how the Rift of Worlds is. They got that skill that's going to just hit the front line there. So having more opportunities to trigger that third skill, that's going to give me that chain effect from the 1-2 punch there on the first and second skill. That's obviously pretty good. And the fact that she is running Vampire is going to help me out quite a bit here. Funny enough, I did try Liu Mei on the front line here, but because of the fact that I don't have a Vampire set, I did find myself more often than not losing her at crucial points, and the DPS, having the DPS for me, at the very late stages of the game is pretty darn important here. So yeah, Fire Panda was really a bit of a shocker to me, considering my composition here. But I definitely want to bring it to your attention for some of you guys that may are still trying to fine tune your teams. If you are late game, kind of had the runes kind of where I'm at there, and try to fine tune. Don't be surprised to see what kind of results you can if you're not using the Fire Panda already. I'm sure you guys a lot, but again, I'm essentially making this video to kind of give you guys a chance to, don't get down if you don't get that, consistent team, because, playing around with these units, compositions, and whatnot, you may find yourself with a consistent double S team down the road. Fire Panda was a big one here. Hawaii was a big one here that I got recommended to. And if I haven't already, I want to give a shout out to my crew in the Epifel Delta. We got quite a handful of people that said to just kind of mix and match units, see what you do, see what you can make of the best of it. And the one thing that kind of shied me away from Hawaii when I wanted to utilize it was the fact that it's not max skill, right? So any YouTuber, streamer, any influencer out there will always advise you of when you're utilizing units in your compositions, definitely consider the fact of using a unit and max skilling or whatnot, so you can get the full value out of it. You won't see the true potential in a monster until you get a max skill. But funny enough, to my surprise, Hawaii, in the current situation that I'm in with these units and the rune compositions, my runes are okay. They're not like my grade A runes or what. I literally took these runes to put on Mi Yang, which I'll showcase in a different video, and just threw on some filler runes here. But surprisingly enough, the stats, the speed, overall the effective HP, the attack, definitely made it decent for me to use. And of course, with regards to the third skill, the multi-hits, even though I'm not killing a monster, having that big skill here that's going to do a lot of multi-hits and whatnot here, Pride Will Fail, it really helped out reducing that counter here. So despite the fact that I didn't have the second skill, any of the skills maxed out, but obviously the ones that we're looking at is that second and third skill here. Third skill, not important when you're taking out other stages, right? Because if you kill a monster, you get that skill reset. But, for in this situation where I'm not killing a boss, having that skill on a cooldown time, a reduction of cooldown, is going to be pretty darn important. So, yeah, to my surprise, it did not, the aspect of not having a max skill did not affect me as much as I thought it would. So for some of you guys that are like, I'm not playing around with Hawaii in my composition because it's not max skill, it's not max skilled, fail. Definitely mix and match here, because again, my Epifel Delta members recommended a couple of units to play around with, and Fire Panda and Hawaii were definitely to my surprise. So hopefully you guys can mess around with the teams, and if so, let me know in the comment section down below what's your current team, how are you doing with that, and ultimately what kind of consistent time you're getting, or points that you're getting with regards to your team and rank and whatnot here. We're gonna go show head. We're gonna go ahead and show my light team as well, just to kind of show you again some my current build and my current composition, as well as those kind of showstoppers or units that I did not think that were going to be a shock to. So right out of the gate, I think the one that's going to be the most surprising for you guys, in general, is going to be Bastet. Now, before we get into Bastet, let me go ahead and take a step back here. Obviously, this is almost a complete opposite of the Dark Sage. You guys already know that. The Dark Sage, you're really looking for those violent sets on units in addition to those multi-hitting type of units. Whereas in this particular stage, the boss is going to bring that distortion shield, and now you got to look for those key units that just do an absurd amount of damage in a few amount of hits it can, right? So the fact is that, you know, if you got some of those key units that do a lot of damage with a single hit without like having it be a multi-hit, it's going to be pretty important here. We're going to talk about some of those units here, but again, going back to square one here, Bastet being like the crazy game changer for me, definitely opened up, you know, some options here. Any composition you look at, you know that you're going to be wanting to utilize a healer, right? Well, to my surprise, the Oasis Blessing, the 3-turn shield, in addition to the attack power, obviously the attack buff is what we want. But the one thing that we don't consider, you know, with this unit is the value of the harmful effects that Bastet also brings. So if you guys are sitting there with Bastet, you know, fail on there because Bastet just tried to cast her second skill and did not get any harmful effects. Rip the dream on the accuracy to check there, but the cool thing about Bastet is that the shield, to my surprise, is extremely strong, and for a stage like this, I feel like it can provide a lot of value. I find myself using Bastet in the wind, water, and the light one quite a bit. And so the cool thing about this is not only is it providing enough shield to basically make it until the shield gets casted again, but Curse of the Beautiful, that's going to be providing the defense break, the glancing, and the hit point disturb. I find that really useful for those in-between stages when you're trying to do an absurd amount of damage. Playing around with the composition, obviously you want as many possible chances to get that defense break in so you can start doing max damage. In addition to that, but because of the fact that I'm using Zhao Lin, the Water Kung Fu Girl, it allows me to have more harmful effects so that when she does her third skill, which does additional damage based on how many harmful effects there are, it definitely helps out when I can get, you know, 5 to 6 skills in addition to all my units, you know, right from the get-go here. And then the other thing that I want to kind of point out here, which is going to be kind of a shocker to me, and I think that this is going to fall into the line of what a lot of people are you know, playing around with this, is that there is no Theo, right? Theo is one of those units that you find yourself more often than not using in so many different aspects of the game because of the fact that you have, what's it called? You have him ruined so well. He's just such a strong unit. And don't get me wrong, Theo is an amazing unit, right? But in my particular situation, which I have the option using Teshar, I found myself breaking away and taking Theo out because of the fact that I do have Teshar here. Teshar is going to provide a little bit better critical rate lead. And then Teshar also, even though it's not on the violent set, which is obviously going to be nice, getting a little bit extra DPS, the damage multipliers on its first and second, I mean, all 3 skills are great, but that second skill, Lightning Nova, is extremely strong, and I find it extremely valuable in this particular stage here. With regards to my other unit, I went for, you know, either I could have probably thrown in, you know, Theo in there over Stella, but Stella, even though she has the multi-hits on the second and third skill, the branding as well as the consistent defense break on the first skill obviously is extremely important when you go into those in-between stages doing that max amount of damage. That's why she's still in there. I love her in that aspect here. And then Trevor, I don't know if anybody's using Trevor here, but I'm actually not using for Trevor on a vampire set. My Leica and my Zhao Lin, they're both on vampire sets, which is why I'm taking advantage of it. Leica with that counterattack on the third skill here. I'm not going to obviously be able to take advantage of the stun, but I'm getting a lot of additional damage due to that passive. And of course, there's no type of oblivion or anything similar to like the Rift of Worlds main boss here, so I'm never going to lose that aspect. I'm going to do a ton of damage here. In addition to that, Leica having, you know, his passive that doesn't allow him to get one-shotted is obviously very nice because that boss is going to be doing some attacks that are doing, you know, 2 hits or whatnot here. Even though it's a ton of damage, I'm not going to be able to get knocked out in one single blow. Zhao Lin, we already talked about her in the dark stage. We already know the value of her when it comes to a stage like this. Again, her first and second skill that have that kind of chain effect here. The first skill being 1 attack, the second skill being 2 attacks, right? It's obviously low in count, so that's still pretty darn unique. And then the kind of the wild card here, Trevor, it's pretty unique. Trevor for me is probably not going to be something that people are going to utilize, but because of the fact that I'm using Bastet, that combination of the shield on Bastet versus the heal really works hand in hand with regards to Trevor here. If you are not using a vampire set, right? So if you're using a vampire set and the hit points get low, it's definitely going to be the safe approach to go. Because again, when his hit points get low, when it takes a lot of damage off that boss, you're going to have the opportunity to get that health back really, really quickly. And because of the fact that you may be using it in the front line, you're gonna get a couple more opportunities to get hit a little bit more and possibly proc that counterattack if you're running like a vampire revenge set on that with that vampire, right? But here's the deal. I'm not running a vampire set. I'm actually running the violence set here. So I'm never going to be able to regain the hit points that we do. So if I'm going to be utilizing a unit like Bastet, why not combine it with that Trevor? Trevor's going to get that improved mitigation, right, on the third skill, Brawl as well. I'm going to get that improved mitigation as my hit points get low, especially after that third jump. And, combine that with the shield, that Bastet's running, Oasis Blessing, the mitigation that Trevor brings on that passive is definitely going to make that shield last longer. It's going to allow it to mitigate more. And so it just keeps me at that lower HP threshold to even get me an opportunity to do more damage. Now here's the crazy thing about it here. We just made an argument about the dark stage, bringing certain key units that are obviously going to do a ton of multi-hits, but making sure they have the harmful effects, right? Similar to what we talked about in the light stage, right? I'm utilizing Bastet over another healer because I get, even though I get the heal like I want or whatnot, I'm getting a lot more harmful effects that is going to help me in those in-between stages when I'm trying to do damage. So if I'm running a unit like this in combination with Trevor, I lose a little bit of value because he does not have those harmful effects that you're looking for. But the absurd amount of damage that you could do if you build him right, if you combine him with Bastet and whatnot here, it just worked really, really good. So again, this is not going to be for everybody. I just kind of wanted to do a quick showcase on my light and dark teams. And for some of you guys that do have some of these key units here, Bastet, Teshar, even Trevor, or the Kung Fu Girls, hopefully you guys can play around with it and see what kind of combination you can make. The moral of the story is we're going to give you a lot of recommendations here, but don't just look at these templates and be like, okay, this is it, this is the only way to do it. Play around with what you have. See what combinations make the best of it, because I would have never imagined in a million years that my dark team was not going to have, Colleen Chasoon or one of the two in there, right? Is going to have the Fire Panda over one of those two. In addition to that, I would have never thought in a million years that my Wind, Water, and my Light teams did not need a really key, a healer like a Colleen or like a Chasoon to get the job done. I could take advantage of Bastet to still provide enough shielding to keep my units alive until her third skill comes back up, plus those extra harmful effects from that second skill, Curse of the Beautiful, to keep the DPS rolling on those in-between stages. So again, that's going to be it, guys. This is just a quick light and dark team showcase. I'm really looking forward to hearing about what's your unique compositions. Please put it in the comment section down below. Again, we have a lot of great recommendations from influencers out there, but to my surprise and with the assistance of my Epic Fail community, I was able to come up with a team on the dark that really shocked me. And then in addition to that, I just kind of play to my strengths when it comes to the light team, utilizing some of the units that work synergy well. The synergy with their compositions, their kits, works pretty unique, and it just so happened that it's yielding me double S teams to do it. There might even be a composition that I can get a few triple S runs, and I do with certain teams, but the consistency of the teams that I currently utilize with the double S run, it's been working really good for me. So again, guys, that's going to be it. I apologize if this video got like carried away, to very long. But again, that's what happens. I get to talking about a few things, and I'm like, oh, wait a second, did I mention this? Did I mention that? Fail, right? Got to mention it all. So let me know if this video helped you. If it did, please feel free to smash that like button. And as always, I will see you all in the next video. Take care.